Welcome back into the Daft on Draft podcast. I'm your co-host Corey Kinnan, alongside Dalton Miller, as always. Again, now members of the Believe Podcast Network. This Daft on Draft podcast is so very exciting times for us. But today we're going to finish out our NFL draft grades. We finally made it to the NFC West, the last conference. Dalton is on vacation, so he's joining us for taking a little bit of time out of his schedule to come and join us. Dalton, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a vacation, but it kind of isn't at the same time. I'm in one of my favorite cities in the world, if not my favorite city in the world, Porto. But because I am in the throes of my bodybuilding prep with less than 8 weeks left to go, I'm here eating 1,600 calories and eating every single one of my meals inside the Airbnb. So over 200 grams of protein, under 1,600 calories. We are dieting hard to try to strip off the rest of this body fat that is on this body. And so I don't get to enjoy one of my top three favorite food cities that I've ever been to right now, which is unfortunate. I do, however, get to enjoy every single one of the unbelievably steep hills that I get to walk up and down here. So, still get to have my fun here in this beautiful city.
I love it. I mean, I don't love it for you, but you're almost there. Almost there. I just finished a cut not too long ago, so I understand that I didn't do that steep. So I thought what I was doing was steep. So
Yeah,
uh,
well, yeah. I mean, well, when you, yeah, I mean, I'm getting down to stage bodybuilding stage
yeah,
leanness. It's not healthy, that's for sure, but it is an endeavor I decided to take.
yeah, yeah, indeed. It's not for everybody. Not for me.
No.
All right. Well, let's dive in here to the AFC West or NFC West. I'm so sorry. So we've got the 49ers, the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. Overall, this conference was all over the map using the same Renee Bugner's composite GPA scores here with the
Division, Corey, division.
did I say conference again?
You did. You
Dang. Yep,
did. I'll
division.
tell you what, that is
It's getting me.
something that is just been really tough for us.
It
Been
has
really
been.
tough for us throughout this.
Yeah, so we've got one team at 27, one team at 17, one team at 14, and one team at 3 here. So they're very representative all over the board here, the NFC West is. Sitting at 27, though, is the San Francisco 49ers. Dalton, what did you make of the 49ers draft? Because personally, I love 4 of the first 5 picks here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you, man. Um, Michael, listen, I don't love the Michael Williams pick just because I do question the pass rush upside that he has. If he's able to consistently win through the chest and come up with something that he can work inside to out consistently in his NFL career, then I think that he can be pretty productive. But you drafted at number 11, and then in the second round, two guys who just cannot rush the passer right now. Two unbelievably stout run defenders. Michael Williams was arguably the most consistent run defender of any of the edge rushers. And Alfred
Mhm.
Collins, I have been on record saying I think might be the best just pure run defending defensive tackle I've ever watched. And so you pair those guys with what was probably the most surprising pick of the top 100 in Nick Martin.
Nick Martin,
Uh,
yeah.
uh, did that was out of nowhere, right? You didn't expect anything close to that.
I
I
mean, I
mean,
know there were some teams that loved him like
he
mid to late
ran
day
well, but
3,
like 6 foot 220,
ultra productive. Like,
super productive, but like just
yeah,
not. I didn't see it on tape personally. But then you follow that up with, again, CJ West in the fourth round and Upton Stout with one of your picks late in the third round with one of your comp picks. And Upton Stout, we've talked about his physicality, his ability to kind
mhm.
of come downhill and be a scrapper. Um, One of those guys that you can see working in the slot for the San Francisco 49ers in their base defense. They run a lot of the cover three stuff, so he'll be able to work downhill quite a bit. And then CJ West, who we both believe is a really good player right now as a one tech, but won't have to play one tech. Alfred Collins, that will be his job. And CJ West can kind of move up and down that defensive front. We think that he's got pass rush upside. And so I'm a real big fan of that pick. And then I was a huge Jordan James fan, and Jordan James in that Kyle Shanahan offense, that outside zone heavy rushing attack is a phenomenal fit, in my opinion. So overall, the media didn't love this draft, but I don't hate this draft at all.
Yeah, so they clearly had a goal here at the top of the draft to get better against the run, because they took, again, yeah, as you mentioned, probably two of the best run defenders in the entire draft, right off the rip. Upton Stout, man, I think that's tremendous. This team definitely needed some corner help, and again, for my money, at the Senior Bowl, between him and Quincy Riley were probably the top corners at the Senior Bowl this past year. And again, he's got the physicality to play outside, kind of Mikey Sainristil-esque, in Washington, who's playing outside, even though he's small at the NFL level. And I think they're going to probably give Upton the chance to play outside. But again, at the end of the day, you're talking about a nickel who's not afraid to stick his head like into action coming downhill either. So I absolutely love Upton Stout. I think that's a great pick for the 49ers, even if the third round right there, 100th overall, might feel a little early. I don't really think it is. I'm speaking of Mikey Sainristil as well. Like, Michigan tried to get this guy to come over this year to replace Mikey Sainristil after he graduated. So, um, I outside of the top 115 though, then it's like, okay. I mean, it feels like the 49ers always take two things every single year. One, just a wide receiver who burns on the vertical plane, who might or might not see the field. Like Danny Gray is very much in this mold from a few years ago. Jordan Watkins is in this game this way this year as well. Like, if you watch the Arkansas game this year between Ole Miss and Arkansas, you think that this guy is a first round pick because he put up like 211 yards and 5 touchdowns or something like that in that game. But very much a vertical plane burner, and then a running back who's just fits like inside outside zone. It's those two things every single year. I don't love Jordan James. Fifth round is fine. The 49ers haven't really hit on one of these running backs in recent memories. So maybe Jordan James will shift the tide here a little bit. Outside of that, I don't have a huge ton of opinions on the rest of these day 3 picks. Curtis Rourke, I think, could be a fine backup. We'll see how his knee is coming into the season after playing on a torn ACL all year.
I think Rourke. I think Rourke in this offense could be decent.
Yeah,
as the backup. That's kind of how I feel about it. And I mean, we'll see if he's able to get a little bit more torque and velocity on the ball this year. Now that he's going to be relatively healthy compared to what he was playing at Indiana last year.
Agreed, because the Indiana offense almost asked the same thing out of him. Like, if we can scheme you guys open, can you find them and can you throw the football? Like, that's literally a bunch of it. And that takes a little bit away from what Rourke actually did, because he did have some nice backside dig throws and some things like that too in the Indiana offense. But I think it's a good fit here. All right. I don't have anything else to say about the San Francisco 49ers. Do you?
No.
All right. Los Angeles Rams, again, came in as the tied 17th best draft based off of the composite of all of the expert grades here, tied with the Buffalo Bills. This is a weird draft, in my opinion, man. I like the Chris Paul pick in the 5th round, and Kanata Mumfield kind of screams like a receiver that's just going to go for 800 yards as a rookie, despite being drafted in the 7th round, just because he's got that like controlled, good route running, good hands. Just like, he's very much a receiver that the Rams were like, yeah, he fits us. So I could see him, like, because Demarcus Robinson just walked as well this offseason, who was like their wide receiver 3 last year. Cooper Kupp is gone, and I know they have Devontae Adams in there now as well, but I think Mumfield's going to see opportunities as a rookie.
I would be lying to you if I said I watched a single second of his tape. So I'm glad that you have. But outside of that, man, like I was a big fan of Josiah Stewart early in the year. And then that very much fizzled out. And then he tested horrifically compared to kind of what we thought or what I thought he was as an athlete at 250 pounds. It just didn't match up what you see on tape. Terrence Ferguson on the opposite side of that tested incredibly well. And that's the type of tight end that you do draft in the 2nd or the 3rd round. You draft the guys who you might not have seen it from at the college level. I think maybe in that offense, he could have been a little bit lost just overall. And tight ends just a lot of the time don't see big roles at the college level. Now, did you see that crazy athleticism on tape? No. Does he have a top five aesthetic immediately
Yeah.
at the position? Absolutely. And aesthetic and athleticism at tight end matters. Jacquez Hunter, a weird pick for me, right? Like
Hmm.
Hunter for me, I know that he did have a little bit of buzz. I didn't see it with him, but as a day three pick, as a running back, I'm not really going to cause too much of a fuss. And then Ty Hamilton in the fifth round is a fine pick, in my opinion, as well for them.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's going to be a rotational guy for them, which is all he really needs to be. And I think that's probably where his best fit is as a rotational guy who I think he can play on early downs because I do think even at, sub 300 pounds, I think that he is a decent run defender. But overall, for me, I think, like you said, I think that the Chris Paul pick is the one that I'm kind of the most
Hmm.
excited about outside of what can they develop Terrence Ferguson into.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what Les Snead and them have done over the past couple of years hasn't made a ton of sense to me in every single draft. Like the way that they've drafted guys, I wasn't a huge Braden Fisk guy. I thought that he was a little bit of a bull in a china shop, going a little bit crazy, a little bit out of control. Great athlete, but he was an immediate contributor. Jermaine Johnson, immediate contributor. Like everybody they've drafted defensively has been unbelievable. And so for me, I'm giving them the grace here that they know what they're doing with the selections of Josiah Stewart and Ty Hamilton and Chris Paul. And then on the offensive side of the ball, just my my absolute belief in what Sean McVay is doing offensively all of the time and the guys
Hmm.
that he can fit in that offense.
Yeah. What's weird for me with the Terrence Ferguson pick is you heard all last year about how infatuated with Brock Bowers they were and how they were like trying to trade up for Brock Bowers and they couldn't get him. And maybe they were trying to trade up for Tyler Warren or Colson Loveland here, but it just feels like Terrence Ferguson doesn't feel like a Bowers or a Warren or a Loveland type player. So we'll see how that pans out. I mean, their tight end room otherwise, Tyler Higbee has had some injuries in the past, and Colby Parkinson is not very good. So, like, clearly some tight end room upgrades were needed. So I'm
Yeah, but
excited to
he's
see how
eight
it
feet tall.
pans out. What?
I said, yeah, but Colby Parkinson's 8 feet tall.
Yeah, he is 8 feet tall. He's huge. He's huge. So I mean, he's gonna get targets just because he's already walking in as tight end one in that offense. He's already walking in as tight end one. So,
He's tight end.
um,
He's tight end too.
uh,
Higbee's tight end one until he gets injured. He is.
yeah,
Higbee's been productive for them when he's been healthy.
yeah, he's not overly dynamic. I guess Ferguson is
No,
on
but what and
athleticism
that's kind of the thing. It's like what
scales,
kind
but
of dynamic dynamism? What's
dynamism.
the is that how you? Anyways, do you really need that tight end to be that dynamic when your offense doesn't really focus on that? Your
That's fair.
quarterback doesn't really focus on that. Like you kind of just need a red zone weapon.
A guy who can sit in some green
And
grass every once in a while.
hmm
Yeah,
yeah, they don't ask too much of Higby. He just kind of contributes what you would expect from a that tier of tight end that's 500 to 800 yards a year.
yeah, yeah. All right, moving on. Arizona Cardinals.
I love this draft. I think this
It's
is
a bit of
better
a
than the
mixed bag,
14.
but it's value wise, I think it's fine. Obviously, neither of us were super high on Walter Nolan. Um,
No, but
flashes of Walter
if you
Nolan.
switch those picks, the
Yeah,
first and second round pick, I love this draft.
yeah, that's fair. That's really valid. Getting Will Johnson at 47,
I really wonder about
his knee.
the injury. Yeah,
Yeah,
I really wonder
yeah,
about the knee.
I do too. I do too. After that, but he's like walking into that roster as the best the best corner on that roster.
Oh,
Um,
it would be very
yeah,
much difficult not to be the
right.
best
I mean, I
corner
like
on
Garrett
that roster
Williams, but he
already.
played a lot of nickel for them last year. Garrett Williams did. And then like Sean Murphy Bunting, a former second round pick, fine. Like he's a fine player, but like that room very much needs high end corner play. And if the need checks out here, they might have found it here in Will Johnson.
Hmm.
So fine with those first two picks. Jordan Birch, again, a guy that was getting top 50 hype. But 78 though, I'm fine with the big end at 78.
Yeah, and in this offense specifically, I mean, they went out and they got Calais Campbell. They picked up Dalvin Tomlinson as well. They
Mhm.
already had Darius Robinson. And so for me, it's really interesting to see where Jordan Birch kind of fits into all of this because he obviously fits, in my opinion, as one of those bigger ends
Mhm.
for them.
Mhm.
And I'm interested to see when they do come out with the depth chart where he lines up because they have their Baron Browning, Zaven Collins, Josh Sweat, BJ Ojulari, Xavier Thomas as well as kind of their outside linebackers. And so it would be Birch behind guys like Darius Robinson, who they just drafted, like Calais Campbell, Walter Nolan, LJ Collier. Like it's
Mhm.
just there's a lot of those bigger four tech, five tech kind of guys in this all in this on this defense already. Um, because they do have Tomlinson and Bilal Nichols to kind of fill that nose role. So it's a crowded room of defensive linemen, but it's never a bad thing to have a rotation of six, seven, eight defensive linemen and just kind of keeping those guys fresh. So, yeah, I don't mind that selection. I think it's probably still a little bit early for me personally, just because I wasn't a huge fan of his. Um, but going out and getting a little bit of depth at linebacker behind Mac Wilson and Akeem Davis Gaither
Yeah. Okay, Cody
and Cody
Simon, man, he's
Simon.
gonna carve out a role. I'm telling you too.
Yeah,
He's a decent player.
you hope he carves out a role because that linebacker room is not very good.
No.
Um, my question is with Will Johnson, with Garrett Williams there, with Sean Murphy Bunting, what does this say about Max Melton? What does this say about Murphy Bunting with the selections of Will Johnson and Denzel Burke back there?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I struggle to
I'm
read too
interested
much
to see.
into like a
I'm I'm really
174th overall
interested to
pick.
see. I'm really interested to see if Burke can turn it around because I feel like outside of one game this year, he wasn't terrible.
Hmm.
One game was the Oregon game, and it was truly, truly an abomination of defensive back play. But I wonder if he's got enough to carve out a role there.
Yeah, I mean he's a pretty average athlete, and I think that kind of shows on tape in terms of like transitional burst and triggering.
But Ohio State asks a lot
They do.
of those corners playing off and catching and carrying at like 8, 9 yards,
Yeah,
which is super, super tough when you're playing flat footed in cover three.
yeah, yeah. That's fair. I'm interested here. They drafted one offensive player in the 6th round
Hmm.
in Hayden Connor. The rest is all defense. All defense.
Defensive head coach, baby.
Yeah. He's like, I'm recreating my Philadelphia, the team in Philadelphia that
Yeah, I
I was
mean
so
that's
good with
it's
for years.
honestly what it looks like they're trying to do. But I mean, when you look on the offensive side of the ball, like that's an offensive line that we thought kind of outproduced what they were on paper.
Hmm.
Really, really good. Um, I would have loved to see a little bit more help at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Um, but running back is set with Benson and Connor, and
Tight
then
end
you
room is awesome.
and you have your corner or your quarterbacks, and the tight
Hmm.
end room is awesome. So I mean, I'm okay with what they have offensively, to be honest with you. Just run a bunch of 12 personnel and don't worry about what you have at wide receiver.
Yeah. And we'll see. We'll see. Again, this team truly depends on Kyler, whether or
Yeah.
not Kyler can figure it out, which he is by all measures a fine quarterback. He's just always doing something. It's like, why are you doing that? at least like twice a game, and it really haunts him. So this team's going to come down to Kyler Murray and how he can do with Drew Petzing heading into this season again. So overall, though, yeah, you got some fine defensive players here, and again, I think Cody Simon might become a day one starter for that team and that
He
linebacker.
might.
So all right, far and away the best draft in the NFC West, which graded out as the third overall draft of the entire draft class of the entire NFL. The Seattle Seahawks, third overall.
I have
This draft,
nothing to say, but it's amazing.
this draft rules.
This draft does rule.
Mhm.
They needed interior help, and they went out and they got interior help with Gray Zabel. And I'm really interested to see where he ends up on that offensive line
Mhm.
because I think he would be an upgrade at all three spots.
Yeah.
So does he stay at left guard where they have him listed at currently? Will he go to the pivot? Because like I think he would be an awesome, awesome pivot man. I
Mhm.
really, truly do.
I
And
wonder if they stick
so
with Olu there though at center.
well, and Olu was okay for them last year.
Hmm.
Um, Anthony Bradford at guard in that situation. Um, Maybe Josh Jones playing left guard and Gray Zabel goes in at center. I mean,
Hmm.
I really think that they have an opportunity to put their best five out there. And
They got
then,
Christian Hayes too, who I thought was an ass kicker coming out of UConn last year.
yeah, yeah, he's at right guard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like he was good for them as a rookie. So and then you have the flexibility of Gray moving out and playing right tackle
Hmm.
when Abraham Lucas inevitably gets hurt. Which I hate to say that, but like he hasn't stayed very healthy, and
Right.
so there's not much to really hang your hat on there. Um, Nor is there much to hang your hat on at wide receiver there, anyways, which is why I really enjoy the selections of both Torrey Horton, who I think just got lost in this class because he got injured early.
Hmm.
He's a little bit of an older prospect, and then Ricky White, who I think is going to immediately be one of the best special teamers in the NFL. So I think two really good picks there at wide receiver, and then
And Elijah
obviously
Arroyo, who's essentially a wide
yes,
receiver. Yeah.
yes. Developmental quarterback who won't need to play right away, who gets to sit behind two established NFL players in they're not good necessarily. Like Sam Darnold had a fine year last year. Drew Lock's not very good, but Drew Lock has experience, and you can keep Jalen Milroe off of the field while also putting him on the field in
Yeah.
certain packages, specifically around the red zone, to use him as for lack of a better term, a wildcat quarterback early
Yeah.
on, because he can throw the ball still, but
Right.
you will use him because of the unbelievable threat that he is with his legs. And then the best pick of the draft, by far, it's not even close. Nicky Minwari
Your guy.
making it to the second round, ridiculous. Landing with Mike McDonald, all pro. He will be an all pro player by year three with Mike McDonald.
Traded up to 35 to get him.
Yep.
They traded up to get him. Yeah. Well, I've been mocking Eamon Ward to Seattle since, except in the first
Hmm.
round, like with like pick 15 or wherever they'd been picking at for the majority of the season. The right there in the middle of the pack, and he lands there anyway in the second round. It's
And I didn't even realize this until right now. They drafted Riley Mills in round 5 too, and I think Riley Mills is a darn good football player.
mhm.
Undersized, but he is a punch you in the mouth type of dude. And I have a bias for Notre Dame defenders. I can't
Yeah,
get over it.
the
I
3-5
love how well
versatility.
coached they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice little 3-5 versatility there as well. And boy, if that Milrow pick hits, man, which again, work ethic to do it. There's a lot to work with. There's also a lot to work through. So,
Yeah.
but again, he didn't go pick 33 like a lot of people thought he was going to go. He didn't go pick 64, which some people, if you would have told me Jalen Milrow was going to be hanging around at pick 92 and somebody's going to land him at 92, then yeah, all day, all day.
Hmm.
I also love some of their late round picks. I know you mentioned Ricky White. I love Bryce Cable too, who I think is an NFL caliber starting guard. Watch his tape at left tackle at Kansas. Watch him play left tackle, even though he's very obviously a guard. Look at his testing metrics. The guy didn't even get a freaking combine invite, but freaking Logan Brown did, who didn't get drafted, playing right tackle at Kansas. And Cable Dude's better than Logan Brown, and the NFL thinks so too here. Logan Brown's the one with the Senior Bowl invite, the one with the combine invite, former 5-star. Cable Dude's the one who gets drafted. Um, Cable Dude is a rock solid player, and I'm not sleeping on this guy starting some games at guard for the Seahawks either. Like I'm just not sleeping on it. And then Damian Martinez. I know you weren't a huge Damian Martinez guy, but and there's the face, yeah. As far as inside zone, wide zone, um, Kubiak, he's a Kubiak back, and so I like that fit, especially getting him there in the 7th round. It's not like he went top 75, top 125. He went 223. So getting a Kubiak back at 223 there, he very much fits. Like I think Kenneth Walker is probably gonna get traded at some point too. But like Charbonnet, big dude, inside outside zone back. Kenneth Walker, not a big dude, but inside outside zone back. And then Damian Martinez, another thick boy to throw in that room too. So he fits the identity of Seattle running backs very well there too. But yeah, Seattle deserves every ounce of love they got for this draft. Elijah Arroyo, that's an F right there. That's a heck of a pick. Yeah, not a lot to hate on this draft at all. Not a ton.
No, that draft gets an A for me.
Oh yeah, A, 100%, 100%. All right, what about the Arizona Cardinals? Where are we grading out the Cardinals?
I think that the Cardinals, for me, I think that they get an B plus, B plus, because I do wish that they would have attacked wide receiver
Mm-hmm.
at all. But yeah,
I'm gonna give it a flat B, like a flat
that's fair.
85.
I just think pairing Walter Nolan, Will Johnson in rounds
Mm-hmm.
1 and 2 is a phenomenal pick for a
Yeah,
duo of picks up top for
that's
them.
pretty good. That's pretty
Yeah,
good. I'm gonna give the Rams a C.
me too.
Yeah, like you probably got like again. I think you can get day one contributions out of like a guy like Paul in the 5th round, and that's pretty crazy. That's pretty good to do. And I think
Yeah,
Mumfield can play a role in round 7. So like you can't grade this too low, but there's not a lot of meat on the bones at the top, and that's kind of an issue for me.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they only had they didn't have a first round pick.
Yeah,
I mean,
trade it out.
because it's
Yeah,
less need, but
yeah.
it is what it is.
All right, and then the 49ers. I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one a B as well. I'm gonna go with the B here.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a B minus.
Okay.
I like this draft more than I like the Rams draft, but they also had more picks to work with. I mean, they made 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 selections. So like it's that's part of the reason why they're grading higher, just because they had more darts to throw. But like we talked about, I like five of the first 7 picks. So, and I actually enjoy Curtis Rourke as their backup in round 7. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm, I'm gonna go with a B here. Actually, I'm gonna raise the grade. I'm gonna give him a B here.
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly where I came in.
I
So
love
yeah,
Alfred Collins, dude.
yeah. I mean, just attacking your run defense, getting stout. Like you can't be upset about getting stout up front. No pun intended. Also drafting Upton Stout.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You just can't be mad about a team raising their floor. Um, yeah, that's it, man.
That's all the divisions, man.
That's all the divisions. Again, Daft on Draft, I cut up every freaking Arch Manning drop back and I broke down all 100
Gross.
drop backs on Arch Manning's from on my Substack video content there. So make sure you're checking that out. I've been streaming more consistently too, playing some NCAA 25 or college football 25 and talking NFL draft in the comments section. So that's been a blast. Like the last streaming session I did was an absolute blast. They kept the conversation lively. I'm rolling with Vanderbilt year 2. I left Texas State for Vanderbilt, and I'm on the recruiting trail. I'm on a heater on the recruiting trail. So I am streaming again on it's Monday night while we're recording this. I am streaming again tonight. So check that out. Even if it's the VOD that's up tomorrow, whatever, up today, I guess. But there's some cool stuff happening. So thanks for tuning in. Again, we're a part of the Believe Podcast Network now, so we're cooking with gas. Don't do you have anything else for the people?
I don't. I love you guys. I'm doing individual cut ups over on my Patreon. And so go tap in there. I have a ton of 2024 tape as well. So tap into that. Join the Discord. Watch Corey go live. Join Corey's Substack. I love you guys. Goodbye for me.